Friday the 13th Part 2, let's talk about it. So, the first Friday the 13th made a bunch of money. It made so much money, did really well at the box office, and basically spawned a series of movies that were very much made in the same vein as Friday the 13th. A lot of movies that kind of ripped off Friday the 13th, which is really funny to me because Friday the 13th itself is a rip-off by the admission of the people who made it. They said, yeah, Halloween made a bunch of money, let's rip it off, and they did. And then Friday the 13th kind of became the template for what the kind of the slasher would become throughout the rest of the 80s. Like, this was the slasher boom, was the 1980s. And yeah, a lot of them did kind of follow that formula set up by firstly Halloween and then Friday the 13th. So of course a sequel was inevitable. The first one made loads of money. It basically launched a new subgenre of horror. So the producers of it were always gonna make a sequel. And here we have Jason Voorhees promoted from, you know, last minute jump scare in the first movie to main antagonist in this movie. And they sort of retcon it as it being, you know, oh, maybe he was actually alive, he didn't actually drown, but his mum thought he drowned, so his mother was seeking revenge, and then she got killed, so now he's getting revenge for her. It's all, they retcon it fairly well. Like, I think it works okay, you know, as a setup for this movie, it works fine. Sean S. Cunningham isn't back, neither is Victor Miller nor Tom Savini doing the special effects, but we do have Steve Miner directing this. This was his directorial debut. Steve Miner had worked on the previous Friday the 13th movie. He got his start working various kind of jobs on Sean S. Cunningham productions. But here he's making his directorial debut, and for a first movie, this is pretty good. Granted, it follows a lot of the same kind of formula and a lot of the same kind of beats as the first one. You get a lot more of the POV shots. There's, you know, the same kind of premise of here's a bunch of camp counselors, watch them get picked off one by one, but it's really well shot, it's edited well. I think, you know, there's a lot of suspenseful sequences. I like a lot of the POV stuff. I mentioned this in my review for the first movie. I like the POV shots. I think it adds a kind of a creepiness and eeriness to it. And yeah, I think Steve Miner for his first film did a really good job here. I also get a few characters returning from the first movie. Specifically, we get Alice, the final girl from the first movie, who's in the opening scene. Now, I've seen some people complain that, you know, oh, she's only in it for the first scene and then they kill her off. They did her dirty, and for sure, they kind of did. But you know what? I like that first scene. I think it kind of establishes Jason as the new killer. I like that a lot. So we see, because we pick up 2 months after the events of the first movie, and we see Alice, and she's still, you know, traumatized. She's still very much not over her ordeal at Camp Crystal Lake. And, you know, we see, like, we spend about 10 minutes with her, and then she is killed off with an ice pick to the brain, which is that kill makes me wince. It's not, like, super graphic, but I don't know, there's just something about that kill and the ice picks to the temple. I'm like, ooh, that one always just makes me go, ugh. Not a bit. I say I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the idea of that. I think the kill itself is great. I love it. But yeah, so she's in it a little bit at the start. We also get the return of Crazy Ralph. But once again, he is pretty much unceremoniously killed off. He has like a little brief cameo. I think he only has like 1 line of dialogue, and then or like 2 lines of dialogue, and then he's still, you know, skulking around a little bit, looking at the new counselors, and then he gets killed by Jason Voorhees. But as well as those returning characters from the first movie, you also get some really good new characters. I really like the characters in this movie. The characters in the original movie are fun to watch and they're likeable enough, but there's not really much to them. They're not really that well developed. It's a slasher movie. You don't need them to be like super well developed, but the characters in this feel like they've got a bit more to them. It feels like there's a bit more about them, especially Mark, the guy in the wheelchair. He's a really good character. I was actually kind of sad when he got killed, because he'd just been given this, you know, he'd just been talking about how, you know, I don't intend to spend the rest of my life in this wheelchair. And then he gets a machete in his brain and he goes backwards down the stairs on his wheelchair, which is one of the best kills in the movie. I love that kill. It's so good. And the machete in the head is a pretty cool visual. I like that. The kills in this, I don't think they're necessarily as good overall as the ones in the original film. I do think the machete, again, I think the machete in the head's a really good one. But with a lot of the kills in this, they kind of cut away very quickly. Apparently the film was much more graphic to start with. Like a few of the kills were a bit more graphic and bloody. But, you know, it got butchered by the censors. You know, the censors got a hold of it and they cut all the kills down, so they were just, you know, brief flashes of blood here and there. The one that they seem to have cut the most from was the spear through the back of the two while they're having sex, and they get the spear through the back. That one was apparently way more graphic and got massively cut down. So yeah, overall, the kills, they're still good, but they're not as good as the first one, just because, you know, they cut away from them really fast. But I think the characters make up for that. I think that I like the story in this one as well. I like the idea of Jason kind of surviving, and I like how they actually set up Jason. I like that they have two different scenes where the characters discuss Jason. There's one around the campfire, and then one in the bar where the final girl, Ginny, is talking about how, yeah, well, if you did survive, like, what kind of a person would you become if you grew up in the wilderness in squalor, and then you saw your mum, the only person that you know, if you saw them get killed, what would that do to you as a person? You know, so I like Ginny kind of trying to almost empathize with Jason, and this is before we've even really seen much of Jason. We know he's kind of stalking around, but we've not really seen much of him. We've not seen his full look yet. But I like that. I like that we kind of set up the legend of Jason before we see him. That's really, really cool. The one thing that I cannot get over in this movie, and I realise it's going to be fine for a lot of other people, for me, I just can't get over it. I really don't like the look of Sackhead Jason when he's got the potato sack over his head. I just think that looks a bit goofy for me, personally. Like, I understand why they do it, because it's, you know, you just found a potato sack and put it on. That makes sense in the story. But for me, I don't know, the hockey mask is so iconic. I don't dig this look. And listen, if I were out in the woods at night and I saw a big dude with a potato sack on his head coming at me with something sharp, I would be scared of him. I would fucking run away from that. But in the context of the movie, I don't know, I've just never really vibed with that look for Jason. I like the hockey mask look. I like his unmasked look in this, right at the end when he jumps through the window. I think that's a cool look. But for me, I don't know, the potato sack, it looks a little goofy for me. I can't get over it. I do really like Jason in the movie otherwise, but for me, I don't know, I've just never liked the potato sack look. Maybe that's just me. I can deal with it if it is just me. I realise some people are going to really, really like it. Otherwise, though, film, really solid, really, really like this one. I actually like this one more than the original, and I love the original. So, yeah, big fan of this one. I think, again, Steve Miner, this was his first film as a director, and he did a really good job. Manfredini's score, once again, is working overtime and really kind of selling the movie. Does really, really brilliantly here. Again, we get, like, an ambiguous ending, like the first one. Like, we get Ginny thinking that they're safe, and then Jason jumps through the window. And and then it's like we cut to Ginny being taken away to the hospital, and we do the close-up on Mrs. Voorhees' decapitated head in Jason's murder shack, which the murder shack, by the way, looks great. That's a cool-looking murder shack you got there, Jason. But we zoom in on the head of Mrs. Voorhees. I was watching the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, specifically the portion about Friday the 13th Part 2, and they said originally that you know, the original ending was going to have the eyes on the skull of Mrs. Voorhees open. I'm really glad they didn't do that, because I don't know, I think that would have been a little bit I like the fact that they just kind of zoom in on her face and then it just fades to black. Like, you're like expecting a jump scare that doesn't come. I like that. That's an effective way to end the movie, I think. I kind of like that. So, yeah, the ending, again, we go for the ambiguous ending like we did with the other movie. A little weird. I don't think it's quite as strong here as it was in the first film. Still fine, though. Doesn't ruin the movie for me at all. But yeah, Friday the 13th Part 2, I love this movie. Again, the kills overall aren't as good as in the first one, apart from, like, the machete in the head and the idea of the spear going through the two people. I like the idea of that, even if it was kind of butchered by the censors and they kind of cut out all the graphic bits. I like the idea of that as a kill. But yeah, aside from those two kills, the kills overall are a little bit weaker than in the first one, in my opinion. Sackhead Jason, I've never really liked that look on Jason, and I do think the ending is a little bit weaker here than it was in the previous movie, but I still love this movie. It more than makes up for those small things with, you know, things like the really good characters, the music is great again, Jason Voorhees is there, you know, and he's here to stay. So overall, the film is strong, the film is good, I like it, it's a really, really solid slasher. So, Friday the 13th Part 2. Let me know what you think of this one. Do you like this one more than Friday the 13th Part 1? Do you like it less? Where would it rank in your ranking of Friday the 13th movies? I'm hoping to do the rest of this series in reviews like this over the coming weeks, because I'm in a Jason Voorhees kind of mood now. So, yeah, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments and we'll have a chat about it. That's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.